This video is brought to you by Big Baller Brand. It's Magic Mike and the swag, and we're here to bring you the Lakers.
Man, I thought we got sponsors for a second.
You can't do that. I'm sorry. We're talking about Lonzo Ball and the Lakers.
The Ball family.
You gotta mention the Big Baller Brand.
Big Ballas.
Yeah. So we are doing the season preview of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Arguably the best team to talk about.
Right. Obviously, you add the best player on the planet.
The best offseason I think any team could have in quite some time.
Well,
I mean, you got LeBron James to the Lakers.
Yeah. No, definitely huge. Right.
One of the greatest players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
To one of the,
worst teams in the league.
Growth teams. But like you said, one of the worst teams last year.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm excited too. And this roster is very interesting because alongside LeBron James, first of all, leading up to the whole LeBron James thing, Magic Johnson knew something that nobody else knew about because he's like, yeah, if I don't bring in a top star player, I'm out. And then, weeks later, he brings in LeBron.
You know what it was?
He knew what time it was.
No. He probably knew that he was going to get LeBron. I mean, he was probably confident. But based off the interviews, it's like he sat in the car just like really thinking about how he wanted to get LeBron to go.
Uh-huh.
And I think that basically why he did that was, one, he was 100% certain that he was going to get that star player, so he was willing to take that risk. And two, I think he was showing like, I'm willing to do whatever it takes for this franchise.
Right.
And I think that's what literally took LeBron over the edge, and be like, this is it. My kids are in a great situation by going to school here.
Right.
I'm with the Lakers. My career's coming to an end in the next few years. Like, this is it.
Yeah. Anyway, they added LeBron. They added Rajon Rondo. Huge. Lance Stevenson. Huge. JaVale McGee.
Massive.
I love it. And then Michael Beasley, arguably the greatest interviewer of all time.
Oh, man.
Right? And then you still have a majority of your young talent.
Yeah.
You lost Brook Lopez, which, again, you add all these other pieces.
Brilliant.
Good move.
Yeah.
You got rid of, who's the power forward?
Randall.
Yeah, you lost Julius Randle.
To the Pelicans.
Yeah. But you retained Lonzo, right? You retained Kuzma and Ingram. And
Hart.
And Hart, yeah, that guy. Josh Hart. And you got Zubac still.
No.
Yeah, Zubac's the classic Lakers center that they draft like 29th overall or whatever, and they're like, "This guy is the future of the NBA." And he turns out to be a bust.
They had a pretty good draft.
Who'd they draft?
So they have Mo Wagner.
Okay.
Well, let's rephrase that. Based off what draft picks they had a good draft.
Right.
So you went out, you got Mo Wagner.
Okay.
Who's a good player. He's a stretch big.
Mm-hmm.
They're starting to say that Zubac's probably not the dude. You know, and JaVale's JaVale. JaVale's going to play 20 minutes.
Mo Wagner's their new center that's going to change up the league, and then 2 years from now.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
Okay.
And then you got another European guy. Not even going to try to pronounce his name, but the dude can straight up shoot.
Okay.
He's a wing player.
Classic Laker draft.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so where do you see this team going this year? They went from sucking hard last year.
I mean, if they don't make the playoffs,
that
would be wild.
And initially, once I heard the LeBron thing, I'm like, yeah, he's only so good. Like, again, the best player on the planet. But, like, can he take this team to the playoffs? But the more I think about it, they're gonna go to the playoffs. Can they be I don't want to say contender, but can they contend for like a third or fourth spot in the playoffs? Because as good as the West 100%. Is, who else could potentially get that third spot? You got the Thunder, which there's there's always not division, but there's always instability with the Thunder. You got the Spurs, who they're always in the race, but again, how good are they going to be? They've got guards dropping off left and right with different injuries. And then you have really, who else is you said the Blazers with Damian Lillard, but if push comes to shove, it's Damian Lillard versus LeBron James.
So I mean, we obviously have to say the Lakers is the favorite for this third spot.
Okay,
but are they the lock? No.
Okay.
I mean,
I think that's fair to say.
It's if we were doing it based off percentages, let's just be real. It's probably like 90% chance, or whatever, that the Lakers will get the third spot.
Yeah.
Maybe they get the second. Maybe.
Yeah. So that being said, they're definitely trending up with LeBron James.
100%.
Love Rajon Rondo to come in here and kind of tutor Lonzo Ball. And Rondo just wins everywhere he goes. He's just kind of got the magic sauce. So I think that'll be a nice pairing.
Magic sauce.
I think Lonzo's going to have a breakout year. Obviously, playing with LeBron James is going to be huge. It's going to give him more time to pull a shot off, which, again, everyone keeps talking about Lonzo's jump shot. He could shoot in high school and college. And I know that the speed of the game is different, and it's different when you've got men muscling you around and, being able to get your legs under you for a jump shot when you're a little bit more winded. But 6'7", he's got a height advantage over a lot of these people. Again, you're going to have playing with LeBron. LeBron's going to suck in a lot of defense. So he should have more time to get his shot off.
Yeah.
So I think that in and out of itself will be an upgrade as far as, his jump shot. I think he's a little bit more he's got his feet wet last year. I think he could be a potential game changer in this league. I mean, there's been comparisons to Jason Kidd and some of these other, maybe Magic Johnson. I think he's on par to continue, to take a jump this year.
No, absolutely.
Everyone craps all over his shooting percentage, but he does everything else at an extremely high level.
Yeah.
At one point, he was leading the Lakers in rebounding last year as a point guard.
Well, that's the thing. You
Which
don't.
is nuts.
I mean, you're not asking him to, blow up the score box. You're not asking him to get like 25 points per game. You're like, hey.
Most people are though. That's the thing. Most people are like, oh, he can't score. It's like,
did you watch him the game? But all his intangibles. And bringing on LeBron literally is, I mean, you take what LeBron does on the court, it's amazing, but you also see the aspect that LeBron James commands that attention. That Lonzo had that spotlight.
Yeah.
Like, so many people wanted him to fail because of what happened in the background with his dad and, all the marketing
Bite
and
your
this
tongue.
and that.
I love me some LeVar.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it's, it's a marketing strategy. It worked.
Yeah.
But, like, taking some of that pressure off the young guys.
It wasn't a marketing strategy. It was destiny. Anyway, I do like one of the things that was a bummer for Lonzo last year was just the overall basketball IQ of everybody on the team. He was playing with a bunch of young kids that didn't know how to play the game. Now you surrounded him with all these basketball minds.
Yeah.
With Rondo and LeBron James.
And JaVale, who's arguably the best.
Yeah.
JaVale,
so,
on a serious note, he's not a bad basketball player. He's an extremely athletic, big man.
I love him.
He just does. He has his moments.
I think he's going to thrive with LeBron.
Oh, my
You saw what
gosh.
Tristan Thompson was doing?
Well, the Lob City. He literally has Rondo, who is notorious for, like, Lob City with Davis and Cousins and all the bigs.
Right.
Now you got Lonzo to the mix. You got LeBron. I mean,
right.
I think JaVale's going to
Yeah, Lance can pass the ball a little bit too. So, yeah.
But, I mean,
I think
JaVale's going to feast.
I think he's going to feast as well. And I do, again, going back to my point, I think the best thing you could do for Lonzo Ball is to surround him with more basketball IQ, because that's going to continue to have him grow, as far as his knowledge of the game. And I think that's going to be a huge step for them. Ingram, we didn't talk about Ingram. You're huge on Ingram.
I like Ingram.
Yeah, he's, solid. I think he could be a Lamar Odom player. I think that's, where he could be at his best, which is awesome. I think that's huge.
I honestly think he can be better.
Maybe. I don't think he's going to be Durant like some people are saying.
And I mean, even if you're really similar but not Durant, I mean, that's still really good.
I think that's a stretch. Durant was better in his rookie year than Ingram was in his.
But see, that's the thing, is that the comparisons literally. I understand how they do that, but nobody's similar to another player. Like, crazy similar to another player.
No, yeah, two players are alike.
Exactly. So, I mean, Durant could... I mean, we saw Durant just go
I just think if Ingram was going to be a star, he'd be a star by now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe this is his year. I mean, I honestly think with LeBron James and, like, a better supporting cast around him...
Yeah.
I mean, if we don't see Ingram being, like, a 22-point-per-game player just lighting up the scoreboard, I think we could safely say it's a little bit of a disappointment.
And here's where stats are misleading. He could easily be a 22-point-game scorer with all the passers around him. But those same Lonzo Ball, Rondo, and LeBron can make anybody with that skill set. What was he, a third-round pick? Fourth round? Or third overall pick?
Second.
He was second.
The Lakers have a...
I think they could take any second pick and make them get 22 points a game. But is he someone who can take over a game when it matters most?
But the question
that's something I haven't seen out of him.
But the question is, does he need to? I mean, you got
Well, if he's your future,
LeBron on your team, you got Lonzo, and you got Rondo. You don't need him to do that. That's the cool thing is he needs to focus on the strengths, not the weaknesses. You don't need him to do that.
So we're talking about where they're going this season and what they're doing with it. And kind of the trend that everyone's talking about is the Warriors are a lock at the championship. So to me, what this season means for everybody else is positioning yourself, doing whatever you can to position yourself for next year and beyond. So what do they do with that, right? You got all these 1-year contracts, which, again, an interesting situation. It saves. It's a nice little placeholder for the future. You got all these, potentially Durant next year, potentially Kawhi Leonard, potentially Clay. There's Jimmy Butler potentially. There's a lot of solid players that you can pick up next year. I think one thing, like if they're going to make anybody a 22-point-a-game scorer, I think they should try their best to make Kuzma a scorer. I'm firm on the belief that Kuzma's value is only going to go down. He had this breakout year at 22 years old or whatever.
He's 23 now.
He's 23,
so
everyone talks about he's an older rookie. Was an older rookie last year, and he balled out. But again, I think he's like pretty close to hitting the ceiling, and that's maybe I'm wrong, but I think if there's any sort of trade value, the sooner you get rid of him, the better.
You're triggering people right now, bro.
Maybe, but it's truth. So you got to get rid of him. You got to get rid of Josh Hart because both those guys are mediocre Laker players, NBA players, and so get something while you can for them. Anyway, that would be my suggestion. I know, like if they sit pretty, they're in a great situation to sign some max players. But I would be thinking, who are the players that you want? And I would say, obviously, Kawhi's been linked to LA.
Honestly,
he wants to play with the Clippers. Anthony Davis, I like that move too. And that's the thing. If I could pick any 3 players, I'd pick Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard. That would be me, right?
I mean, that would be a stupid good team. And then you keep Rondo.
Dude, that would be nuts.
Lonzo.
So how do you go out and get an Anthony Davis? You trade these young assets that probably aren't going to be the greatest.
If we're talking about that right off the bat, we can safely say that Kuzma's probably gone in that trade package. They're probably throwing in Hart.
Right.
And maybe... one of the recent draft picks and like another first or something.
You throw in, they'd have to throw some more in that. They'd probably have to get rid of Lonzo, or Ingram.
Maybe I think it really just depends on where Anthony Davis is in his contract season, or what's going on with his contract if he And the other
would that be worth moving? And I know
not this season.
Young assets are coveted. In the NBA, but if you could go out and get an Anthony Davis, because there are some rumors that
it's not the move this season, though.
You don't think so?
No, because for the most part, like you said, the Warriors are a lock. Let's see how these young guys perform. And the biggest thing that a lot of people are neglecting in this situation is the cap issues.
Yeah,
Kuzma's on a stupid good deal right now because he's a rookie. He's on that scale contract, and I know you're not a fan of Kuzma, but Kuzma for what you're paying him is a good deal.
Right.
It's the same thing with Hart and Lonzo.
Right, and that's the fact that there are great deals only matters if you move them. Right? Because
absolutely.
With or without them, they'll be the same. They're not going to be enough to really push them over the top. So you've got these contracts with some potential talent. Would you move them for other pieces? And the argument everybody says is, why are you going to trade young assets for players to win now? Well, Anthony Davis is a young asset, so if you could pull that in, that would be a huge piece moving forward. And it's like, we're going to win now, and we're going to groom you to take over as soon as LeBron retires.
I see where you're coming from, but like me personally, I feel like you sit this year out. Everybody's on a 1-year contract.
You're not going to be able to tell LeBron that you got to sit this year out. You're telling the best player on the planet, hey, you're not going to win the championship this year.
But see, the thing is, he can't always... I know he wants to be the GM and he has the ability to command that and this and that. But he needs to understand that. So before LeBron went to LA, I wasn't really the biggest fan of LeBron.
Okay.
Now I'm still not the biggest LeBron fan,
we got the bandwagon over here.
I respect. No, the Lakers are my team, but I respect what he can do. He's great. There's no denying that. But at the same time, it's like as a fan, it's nice to have a player like that come to the team, but it's also irritating because a player like that literally destroys the team, works, with what he's got, adds what he needs for his time, and then he jumps ship.
Right.
And he destroys the franchise. Like, for the most part, we could safely say Cleveland's definitely going to take massive steps back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Cleveland might be in the gutter for a couple of years because LeBron literally did his thing, trashed the team, win,
right.
and left.
Right.
And I think Lakers fans and the historic fans are over it. That it's like, hey, LeBron, we totally get you want to win now. Right. Totally respect that, but you ain't doing this.
Right.
Like, we're keeping these guys. I think you let the team play out for 1 year. If they suck, it doesn't work, cool. You tried.
Well, here's what I would say to that, because I think that the biggest thing that shut the Cavs down was Kyrie Irving out of nowhere wanting out.
Mm-hmm.
And the trade they got for him sucked.
Trade was like a top 2 point. No.
Yeah, no, it was just, and you don't trade within your conference, especially against a rival. Anyway, that was a whole other situation. But they had some pieces moving forward, but then he wanted out, which changed everything.
Absolutely.
Right? So yeah, you want to give LeBron some room, but you don't want to.
But you
don't want to trade for bad contracts, and you don't want to overpay players like Tristan Thompson.
That room, though.
I'll give you that. But talking about the Lakers, you're right. The future is huge, right? But one thing, the Lakers are a historic franchise that likes to win. So if you have the ability to win...
Yeah, but do you want to have another win, possibly, in a couple years of tank when LeBron's done? Or do you want to check this year out, understand that you're going to have a good year, you're not going to be winning the championship for the most part, probably.
Maybe. With the lineup currently constructed, they will not win the championship. I'll give you that.
But that's the thing. It's like, why you're taking such a low percentage chance, and you're like risking way too much. It goes back to like the risk and rewards.
Well, and okay,
and it's not.
And I get what you're saying with that. Here's the risk. Let's say you hold off on Anthony Davis, and he ends up in Boston or Golden State, because those have been teams that are linked to him. Mm-hmm. If you lose on the Anthony Davis sweepstakes, is that going to screw you up for the future?
It's not, because they've been linked to multiple players. We were talking about possibly Jimmy Butler, Kawhi Leonard, Klay Thompson. You got Durant.
Right.
I mean, Davis is an outstanding player. We're not going to deny that. He's the youngest of the group that was just mentioned. That's huge. That's fantastic.
That's the key.
He's also partially injury prone, so that's a huge X factor and risk. And you can't tell me that if they didn't get Anthony Davis, they're up the creek. I mean, Kevin Durant's a comparable player in talent-wise.
If they get him, I don't think that he's in the mix.
But he might be. I mean, you get Klay Thompson, you get Kawhi. It's not a huge step off from Anthony Davis.
And here's the thing. I would love Kawhi, and I think you could still bring in one of those players and Anthony Davis. And that's the move, is if you do pull for Anthony Davis, you got this young star that you can revolve the team around. You can sell him on LA, and the fact that he's going to be the next big man for them for years to come. And then you potentially try to get a Durant or a Kawhi, and from there probably a Klay Thompson or someone. But my biggest concern is if you hold off on Anthony Davis and all of a sudden he ends up in a different situation and he stays there.
Then you lost.
And then and for the only reason is to hold on to Ingram, who may or may not turn into something decent.
Yeah, but I mean, they may have to throw Lonzo in that package.
I just think when you talk about like the core of young assets across the board in the league, you've got like the Suns, who are trash, but you got Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. I think those are a better tandem than Lonzo and Ingram. You talk about Karl Anthony Towns and Wiggins.
Yeah, but
I think those are a better tandem than.
But then I mean,
Lonzo and Ingram.
Minus the Booker Ayton, those, the Tims, those are older players.
You got Tatum and Jaylen Brown.
We're talking about 20 years old right now. Jaylen Brown's a little bit older. Tatum's a young player, just like Lonzo as well as Ingram.
All those players are under 24.
But see, Wiggins is going to be 24. Towns is going to be 23.
Yeah.
And I mean, so they're a little bit older. So obviously, there's that. But it's just you don't.
You got Simmons and Embiid. So I mean, like you talk about older players.
Yeah. Simmons is old. Simmons my age.
How old?
Simmons is like 22.
exactly, that's super young.
Embiid's gonna be 25.
So what I'm saying is
it's a huge jump in age. That's a couple of years they have on these guys.
Right out the gate, those players made an impact on the league
because they were older and they were groomed. Simmons is literally up for Rookie of the Year again. This is wild.
Anyway, right out the my stance is, and you're right. There are players like Jimmy Butler who come into the league as kind of. They're not what they are today. They've worked their hardest to just continue to get better and better and better. And there are some stars that take a little while to bloom. Mm-hmm. But then there are the superstar players that right out the gate, I mean, you see something special in college. As soon as they get in the league, they're doing big things, like a Simmons, like Embiid. Once Embiid finally started playing, he was a stud.
True.
Wiggins was scoring 20 points a game right out the gate. Super athletic. Karl Anthony Towns was not this year, but the 2 years before, everyone was talking about he's one of the top players as far as building your franchise around. Devin Booker is a gamer. Like he can just friggin' take over a game. I just think that Ingram hasn't shown that he can be that guy. I think the possibility of him becoming as good as any of those players where they're currently at would be awesome. But those players are all trending at they're climbing at such a high level that, again, I just think if you could bring in a player of Anthony Davis's caliber, he's
not worth it.
4 years older than him?
It's not worth it this year. Now, I'm not saying after this year that's not a smart move. I just think like right now you're playing with so many unknowns that let it play out, see how it goes, and then go from there. Yeah. I mean, the season hasn't even started. And if they were to make this blockbuster trade, it would be kind of stupid because it's like, well, what is going to happen? Like,
you're going to sell out. You're going to sell out arenas.
They're going to sell out regardless.
I know, but
it's the Lakers and LeBron's there.
Yeah.
And see, the thing is, and what we've stressed in every single videos is the Warriors are so set up for success right now that honestly, to become a buyer to compete with them is pretty much stupid.
Unless you have LeBron James, the greatest player on the planet.
He went to LA knowing that every single year you want to compete for a championship, but certain years you're less likely to win.
And I think you hold on to Lonzo. You say, all right, he's our guy moving forward. We're going to groom him with Rondo.
Dump the guys though. And
then get rid of Ingram.
I agree with you.
Hart.
If the year plays out and where it goes from there.
Yeah. Now, my thing is, let's say the year plays out
and all of a sudden trade them.
Well, but that's the thing is, if their trade value is all of a sudden lower, because like Ingram's trade value would be the same, maybe a little bit better. But but these amazing young players that have these amazing contracts, they're going to be a year more removed, so their value goes down. And if they don't have a stellar season like they did last year, if people realize, these players aren't that good. I mean, you look at what all the Lakers that were traded to Cleveland last year.
Oh, Clarkson and Nance.
All those players.
Yeah, but those guys
similar hype. And Rodney Hood from the Jazz. All these players had similar hype. Rodney Hood couldn't get a contract at the end of the year.
No way. Okay, so Clarkson was a decent player. Clarkson had nowhere near the hype that Ingram or Ball had.
I'm not talking about Ingram or Ball. I'm talking about Kuzma and Hart.
Oh, well, no, I'm talking about those. But I'm saying you need to ride the ship with Lonzo and Ingram. Those dudes should
hold on to Lonzo
and Ingram. They should not get traded this year.
Yeah.
If Ingram has a crap year and you think it's best, and hey, we can get Anthony Davis after this year, then I don't see why not.
I just think
you need to ride Ingram.
Right. So you play out this year. You realize that Kuzma's trash. Right. Okay. You realize Kuzma and Hart are trash. Gone. Right, but you don't get anything for them because nobody wants these players after they realize they're mediocre players. And that's like, okay, now the only trading piece we have is Ingram and no one else because we're on all these one-year assets and we want to keep Lonzo. Or you got to trade both of them.
But see, the good news is that it's the Lakers. They're such a historic franchise. LeBron James is there. They're naturally going to get a good free agent.
Yeah. I'll give you that.
Either way, they're set for getting a good player.
I just think Ingram and those two guys that I'm not big on, in Hart
not
and
worth trading.
Kuzma. If you get Anthony Davis,
not worth
I think you'd be dumb not to do that move, especially if he ends up in Boston or Golden State.
If we were talking about a couple years ago when the Warriors weren't a super team, I think that would be a fantastic argument, and it would be like, why wouldn't you do this? But the fact that the Warriors are literally set up to win a championship and they're hands down in a better situation,
right?
Why do you lose so much when you're like
Yeah,
You're not in a good
and that
situation.
really, I think that the core of everything comes down to you're really high on all three of those players, and I'm not high on any.
No,
of them.
no. The only one, I mean, so out of those four that you mentioned, the only two I would not trade,
Lonzo. I want
Lonzo or Ingram.
Yeah. So okay.
I don't mind dumping hard at Kuzma. What I'm saying is I believe you need to let the season play out a little bit
Yeah.
and see what they provide. I understand Kuzma. I mean, we talked about a dime a dozen point guards.
Mhm.
Kuzma was drafted towards the later.
Yeah, I just think
Part was the same.
The opportunity is there to move those pieces and get something in return.
But are you
and
going to
I don't know how
anything
long
with
that
those two
opportunity
guys?
is. I think if you package someone like Ingram, who obviously you don't want to get rid of him, but if you're bringing such a huge star player
Mhm.
in return, I think you would win that trade.
Let's also talk about how LeBron James, out of all the players on the Lakers,
Uh-huh.
Lonzo's up there too, but he had so many high words for Ingram. That literally almost cements that, if LeBron's playing the GM role, Ingram isn't getting touched.
Yeah, but LeBron also had high words for Tristan Thompson and J.R. Smith.
Yeah, but LeBron James,
he's
a fantastic player,
yeah.
went to one of the worst teams last year because of these young guys. I mean, that's telling you something.
Yeah,
and
no,
the
I'll
cool
give you
thing
that.
about us being fans is we have so much speculation, but we're not there with the conversations.
I think
We
he
don't
went
have
there
a
because
big
it's
board
LA
plan.
and it's because of the Lakers more so. And I think he was big on those guys, but I think if it was
It was a
solely,
multitude of reasons.
hey, you've got a team with these young stars, these young stars, these young stars, these young stars. Which guys would you choose?
Yeah.
I'd almost see him picking two other stud young guys over Ingram and Ball. But that's just me. I think both players are good. I think both players are flawed. I would hold on to Ball. I wouldn't mind packaging Ingram if I could get a star in return. Especially if he's young and he's under 25 years old. I think that's huge.
Yeah.
But anyway, agree to disagree. Let us know in the comments who you're siding with, and subscribe below. And until next episode,
Peace.
peace.